How are we doing for time?
The flight leaves in an hour, sir.
Cutting it fine, as always. Well, do your best.
Sir? Dr. Philip Raven there, the permanent representative of the United Kingdom to the United Nations. Clearly a very focused and very driven man during this uncertain time. The emergency session of the UN Security Council, due to take place tomorrow in New York, is expected to be a divisive and potentially incendiary meeting.
Cut.
Divisive and incendiary. What isn't these days?
This is the final call for flight number HG1933 to 1635 to John F. Kennedy International Airport. Will all passengers please proceed immediately to gate 49?
Right. I'm coming.
Hello, I think you're in my seat.
Really?
It doesn't matter. I booked the window, but I never look out of it. Everything looks so small and insignificant when you're far away, doesn't it?
I'm happy to move.
Nonsense. You stay where you are. I'll take your seat. Do much flying?
A fair bit.
Me too. I think I've spent most of my life in the air.
It's the only way I get a decent night's sleep. I'm always rushing from one meeting to another. At least while I'm sat here, they can't make me run around.
Well, don't let me disturb you. Grab a nap while you can.
I wish. I've so much reading to do, I won't have time.
Well, either way, I won't interrupt.
You're very kind. I'm sorry to be rude.
Not rude in the least. Just pretend I'm not here.
Oh.
You fell asleep after all.
Yes, I did.
You needed it.
Maybe. Work's been... well, it's been a hectic time.
I know, Philip. I quite understand.
I mean, it's... Did you just call me Philip?
It's your name.
Well, yes, but I don't remember mentioning it.
You didn't. But I came here specifically to meet you, so it's hardly surprising I know it.
Meet me?
Yes. We have a lot to talk about. Come on, sooner started.
I haven't the faintest idea what you're talking about. How do you know my name?
Because Dr. Philip Raven, permanent representative of the United Kingdom to the United Nations, you are the man our systems predict as having the best chance to save the future.
Save the... Oh, never mind.
What is that irritating noise?
I'm calling for a steward.
Oh, there's no point. Look around. There's nobody else here.
Don't be absurd. What do you mean there's nobody else? Oh.
Come on, we've places to be.
But this isn't possible. The plane was busy. Did we land? Why didn't you tell me we'd landed?
We didn't.
Of course we did. They don't just throw passengers out of the windows.
We haven't got time for all this.
Hello? Anybody? There's nobody here.
I told you that.
And... wait a minute. I can hear the engines. We're still flying.
Not as such.
No, we are. You can tell we're still in the air.
We're wherever I want us to be.
What are you doing? You can't open the door when the plane's in flight.
I can do whatever I deem necessary. You'll learn that soon enough.
No! Ow! Ow! No!
Coming?
Wait, what?
Come on!
Well, this is absurd. I must be dreaming. Yes, that's probably it. I'm still asleep.
Of course you are. Doesn't mean you can just stay there, though. Come on! Welcome to Danzig.
Danzig? Well, there's no such place. Not anymore. It's called Gdansk.
Not at the moment, it's not. This is 1940.
1940? Oh, boy. Well, my subconscious is having a field day. Fine. I get it. I'm dreaming of war. It's hardly surprising, I suppose. My nerves are showing.
When I said you were dreaming, I was being reductive. It's more complicated than that.
Well, I just walked from my plane into 1940, so I'm fairly confident this isn't real.
It's real enough. What time is it? We need to move. We've 4 minutes to get to the other platform.
And for a city in the throes of war, I don't think I'm getting this right. It all seems a bit Normal. I mean, there's a few soldiers here and there. The uniforms are wrong, though.
You're not doing anything.
Of course I am. It's my dream.
Not even remotely. Now, stand there. The train's coming.
It's Nazi insignias now I look at them. But the design of the uniform's a bit off.
Don't draw their attention.
It's a dream. What could happen?
They could kill you.
In a dream.
You're obsessing on the dream part of this. It's going to make life very difficult. We're travelling via psychic projection, which is considerably more proactive than just dreaming. Just shut up for a minute and watch what I'm trying to show you.
Why am I dreaming a really pushy woman? I must have issues.
Shut up. Look, the window of that carriage.
What on earth is he doing?
He's trying to fix his dental plate. It's come unstuck.
Oh, it looked like he was pulling a funny face.
Look at that Polish pig.
You're not the only one to think so.
He should be taught some respect.
Yeah, come on.
They're speaking English.
Do you speak German?
But very little. I'm trying to learn.
Then that's why. Your subconscious is translating. We need you to understand this. Come on.
What are you doing? Let go. That hurts. Why does that hurt if I'm only dreaming?
Come on!
This is ridiculous.
Yes, it is. That's history for you.
He was adjusting his dental plate. He was pulling faces, mocking us.
Move back a little.
Why?
And stay out! How dare they?
Come on, let's just go.
They learn. One day soon, they will learn. What are you looking at?
Nothing. Nice.
They're just raw, young, insecure, and covering it up with patriotism. Look into the carriage, but do it quickly.
Well, they're all calming down. That poor man still can't sort his dental plate out, though.
No. Take 3 steps to your right. Now!
Why? What's happened?
Oh my God, no!
He's been shot! I don't believe it! Was it the soldier on the platform?
Our Polish friend will no longer be troubled by his dental plate. In fact, he'll no longer be troubled by anything. Get down on the floor.
Does everyone have a gun, for goodness sake?
They have become somewhat ubiquitous. The driver saw what was happening and pulled away. The fighting on the platform will continue for a little while, escalating as fights usually do.
But this is stupid.
History doesn't care what it looks like in hindsight. One of the most significant moments of the century, triggered by a silly misunderstanding over a dental plate.
Significant moments.
That was war breaking out. A ridiculous, pointless, childish incident. The spark that lights the fire.
What? If it's 1940, Europe is already at war. And it certainly wasn't started thanks to some gun-happy nonsense on a train. What am I worrying about? I'm arguing with my own subconscious. Hopefully, a steward will wake me up in a minute and I can have a nice gin and tonic to wash this stupid dream away.
I keep telling you, this isn't a dream. You're going to have to accept it sooner or later. It's important.
Important? It's a symptom of too many late nights, that's what it is. It's weeks of stress, meetings, and the impossible weight of the conference tomorrow. And just when I thought I could do with a really nice dream about something ridiculous, I get stuck with this.
Have you ever argued in a dream before?
What? I don't know. Probably.
What about this?
Ow! That hurt!
Ever really felt pain in a dream before? Proper physical pain, not just the idea of it, distant but aware. Actual pain. Hot, stinging, glowing pain.
Stop it!
I'll stop it when you accept what I'm showing you.
But how can I? You say this is real, but it clearly isn't because the Second World War didn't break out in 1940 over a stupid argument on a train. Nor did normal people wander around armed to the teeth. It's all just...
An alternative.
What?
Reality is a matter of dominance. For every moment in existence, there are choices. Each of those choices leads to a different outcome. This is your past as it might have been. A different, albeit recognizable world. The world is even more fractured, poor and angry than it was in your timeline. In the US, Roosevelt failed to implement the New Deal. In Germany, while Hitler rose to power, he couldn't repair the economy, so the country remained on the back foot. Tensions with Poland continued. Tensions that just came to the boil. Follow me.
I just need to wake up. That's what I need to do.
Metaphorically speaking, you're quite right. Now come on!
Well, I suppose if I'm stuck here, I may as well keep going. Where are we now?
Berlin. Here, put this on.
A gas mask? Where did you conjure that up from?
My head. An advantage of psychic projection. Look! Now put it on!
But if this
For
is...
once, don't argue! Quickly! Stand here! Close to me!
Why?
Because then the bombs and debris won't hit you.
Bombs? Horrible! Just horrible!
It's war. In the conflict in your timeline, gas was never used. Stockpiled, yes, but never implemented. Here it's the main weapon. Gallon after gallon of it, dropped all over Europe.
What are they doing?
Strange, isn't it? A side effect of the gas. It seems to make them want to group together. Wherever the bombs strike, they leave stacks of people piled on top of one another. Holding, embracing. Maybe they just don't want to die alone.
Stop it! I can't bear it anymore! Stop it!
I want to wake up!
Idiot!
No more!
Get in!
I can't steal a car!
We're not stealing it, just using it as a link.
It's horrible! Horrible!
Move out the way.
I don't want to see anymore!
How many times? It isn't a dream. You could have died.
I don't understand any of this. None of it makes sense.
Just go with it. Learn, observe.
The city vanishes. We climb through a car into an open field, and she says just go with it.
The doors are a link. A psychological trick, a threshold to cross to help the brain switch from one location to another.
Going mad? Is that it? Hallucinating?
Listen, you're not a stupid man. You can't wake up. You can't leave. So why not simply accept what you see for now? It's not as if you can do anything else, is it?
True.
And if you really want to know what it's like to go mad, why not ask our friend over there?
It's gone. Yes. Friedrich gone. Boom. Friedrich flying. Friedrich like rain, soaking your upturned face. Hungry. How long since breakfast? Oh, 2 days ago. Time for lunch. No rations. No bullets. No hands. It's just skin and bones.
Not much to eat out here.
Time for lunch. Good enough for cows. Good enough for Bruno. Oh, for goodness sake. No, don't eat the grass. You'll make yourself sick. Do you have something else? Anything else? Well, no. Then I take the risk. Civilians?
Yes.
Good. I don't feel very well, and I'd rather not have to fight you. Still, maybe that wouldn't be so bad. Then you'd kill me, and at least I could have a nice lie down. Maybe I'll have a nice lie down anyway. Yes, probably best. Have you seen Hans?
No, we haven't seen anybody.
Where's my notebook?
Here.
Yes, I remember. Of course you haven't seen him. He's dead. Dysentery. What are your names?
Jane.
Philip.
No good. I think I've lost my pencil. I just pretend to write them down. I don't suppose you know if the war is over, do you?
No, not yet.
It's a shame. Yes, a great shame. I'm very tired, you see, and I'd like to go home. I think my wife is probably missing me.
I'm sure she is.
Yes. Back to Berlin. Back to Ebba. I do hope she's not dead. That would make me very sad. Yes. Very sad.
Come on. I didn't mean to come here. I was just getting you away from the gas.
We can't just leave him here.
He can't follow where we're going.
Well, does he die?
He's already dead from my perspective. That's how history works. It's full of corpses.
I mean, does he die now?
Who knows? I can't keep track of everyone. I'm glad you're starting to take this seriously, though.
Well, it's like you said. I may as well go along with it, hadn't I?
Yes, you might as well.
So this version of the war, who wins?
Wins? In war? Nobody. Not really. It limps on for nearly 10 years. Germany and Poland clashing together with their allies joining the fray. Outside Europe, America takes on Japan, neither side achieving much but death after death after death. The UK remains ostensibly neutral, but the war cripples it anyway. Its economy, already weak, becomes untenable during the years of conflict. Foreign debts remain unpaid. Imports and exports peter out to nothing. The cuts bleed her dry. A conference is held in London. Talks to try and bring the war to an end. They drag on for the best part of a year, and then fighting resumes. Finally, Beneš, the president of Czechoslovakia, manages to stop the fighting.
How?
He invents a phrase. Suspension of hostilities. Nobody would agree a treaty, so a simple principle came into play. Everyone downs weapons, keeps the land they've gained thus far, and waits for a conference to be set up so that things can be ratified legally.
So they did talk it through in the end.
The conference never happens. After the war comes something far, far more destructive. I'll show you. Walk through that door.
What door? We're in the middle of the countryside. Unless you're able to make one appear out of thin air, there's no... Oh, fine. You are able to make doors appear out of thin air. Of course you are.
It was that or walk for miles. In you go.
London Zoo.
Primitive, isn't it?
Yes. I suppose it is. I used to like coming here as a kid. We didn't get out much. Dad was in the forces, so we had to wait until he was on leave.
Didn't your mother take you out?
No.
Well, you won't see many people having fun here anymore.
What's wrong with him? Shouldn't we help?
He's beyond it.
Well, he's collapsed.
Ignore him.
We can't just leave him.
He's dead. And you shouldn't get too close. I told you, all of this is real enough. Everything we experience through perception. So if you're hurt here, your brain will accept that and you'll feel the effect of it.
If I imagine I'm choking on gas, I'll choke for real.
In the simplest terms, yes. This is what comes after the fighting. This is the real war. One that humanity just can't win. The raid of the germs. Great chunks of the world's population are weakened. Poverty has brought public services low. Sanitation is a joke. The germs find a world ripe for them to flourish. First, an outbreak of cholera in the UK, then waves of influenza worldwide, followed by bubonic plague.
Bubonic plague? It's like the world's going back to the Dark Ages.
In many ways it is. With each new outbreak, the world becomes weaker. Sanitation becomes poorer. A downward spiral. Finally...
What's happening? That man back there. The keeper.
He's doing what he's told. He's killing his animals.
But why?
Macular fever. The final wave of the raid of the germs.
I've never heard of it.
And few had. It was previously only seen in captive baboons.
So they're killing animals to limit the spread of the disease.
That's the idea. Though it's far too late.
We're closed. You shouldn't be here. It's not safe. They were infected.
We saw.
Then what are you doing loitering around, eh? Don't think I won't use this on you. I've killed already today. Killed animals that I loved. I don't know you two from Adam. There'll be no skin off my nose.
It's fine. We're leaving now.
I'm sorry. For what you're having to do, I mean.
You and me both, Sunshine. You and me both. I'm sorry, old love. I really am. It's so beautiful.
Why are you showing me this?
Explanations can wait. I need to know you're ready. This way.
The reptile house.
A threshold.
Where are we now?
St. Peter's Church Tower, Tiverton. Play along with everything I say. Good evening!
Oh, dear God, woman, you scared the life out of me. Where do you come from?
Where do you think? Up the stairs. She didn't fly here.
I'm from the council, just checking how things are progressing.
Oh, council, is it? Don't trust us to do our jobs?
It's not like that. You know how it is. Everybody's panicking, so we get sent over to waste your time and ours. It's not personal.
Don't worry about it. We understand.
Hey, you speak for yourself.
Oh, stop picking fights and keep an eye on the north.
I know what I'm... Hey, wait. Someone's coming.
Is any sign of infection?
You're too far away to tell.
Well, they're walking all right. Look healthy enough.
Why take a risk?
Wait! Give them a chance.
If they were clean, they wouldn't be wandering around out there, would they?
What are they doing?
Guarding the town from the infected. Shh.
Here, give me them binoculars. Yeah, definitely infected. Pale, sweating.
It's a warm night.
I'm not taking a chance. Any closer, and it'll be more work for the cleanup crews. I only winged him. Hang on.
This is murder.
This is kindness, pal. You've seen what it's like to die of a fever? There we go, job done. Tell the council we're on top of it.
I will.
So, anyway, you were telling me about Doris, go on.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, you know she's still angry at me, isn't she? Because I went round to Maureen's house.
Yeah, he's sly bugger.
Come on, let's get out of here.
Fine.
Hey, it wasn't like that, right? I was just fixing locks on her front door. Well, you know how nervous she is, isn't he?
Hey, she got it right to be nervous with boys like you around, eh?
Well,
It's hot.
Sao Paulo, Brazil. Night of the 15th of August, 1956.
Well, naturally, I can't wait to see whatever new act of barbarism and misery you're desperate to show me.
I take no pleasure in this.
Fine. Well, let's leave it then, shall we? I'm certainly happy to call it quits.
I'm afraid not. We've barely grazed the surface of this history.
Oh, good. So what happens in Brazil? More innocents dying of the plague? Being picked off by their fellow countrymen?
The diseases are still rife, though they're close to burning themselves out. A few harsh winters here and there, a few successful vaccination programs. By the end of next year, maculated fever will have run its course.
Killing how many?
Half the population.
Half the population? Of the entire world?
Yes. And bear in mind that's a skewed figure. Some more isolated cultures, distant tribes, northern territories, they weather it better than the rest. The death toll in the so-called developed world is much higher than 50%. And it's not just the diseases. There's the rioting, natural disasters, industrial accidents, what little industry there is left. Society is crumbling into barbarism. New complications and dangers rising every day. And of course, mankind is not the only resident on this planet. Stay absolutely still.
They're only pigs by the sound of it. It's hard to see in this light. Don't they have street lights in Brazil?
Yes, but not the power to operate them. Not right now. And they're not pigs. They're wild boar.
Oh. They're quite dangerous, aren't they?
If their habitat is threatened, or if it's the rutting season, or they're starving, they can smell us. We need to move.
Can't we just leave?
We could, but not yet. Run! fire escape. See it?
Yes!
We'll have to jump for it.
It looks lopsided. Are you sure it'll hold?
Only one way to find out.
I can't pull myself up.
You're even more unfit than me. Come here.
Ow! My foot!
Okay, let me see. Oh, it barely nipped you.
He's bleeding.
A bit. We'll get it cleaned up in a minute. You're lucky it didn't have your foot off.
Lucky? It would have been your fault if it had. Why didn't we just leave?
I live a very sedentary life. I fancied a run.
Well, then go for a jog in a park. And don't drag me with you.
You're right. It was thoughtless. Sorry. We should go. I don't want that wound getting infected.
It's a bit late to worry about that now. This thing's just waiting to collapse.
So move quickly. Get to the door. Quickly. Jump. Lean on me.
You sure that water's clean?
Clean enough. It's for the animals.
Oh, I'm sure it's fine then.
It is. They don't want to poison the livestock.
Yes, Kensington Gardens has let itself go a bit, I must say.
Agricultural land is more valuable than parkland. Hyde Park's the same. In a few days' time, there'll be a riot just over there between cowkeepers and potato growers as they battle it out for ownership.
That's just ridiculous.
300 people die in the riot.
As if the death toll weren't already high enough. Careful.
Just making sure the wound's clean. I found this to dress it with.
Someone's shirt. How do we know that's not infected?
I stole it from a washing line. It'll be fine.
My dream foot, bitten by a dream boar, washed by dream water and bound in a dream shirt.
Starting to accept all this.
Starting to give up on questioning it. That's not quite the same thing.
It'll do.
At least you've brought us somewhere peaceful for now.
The late 50s usher in a period of new feudalism. People live in isolated communities, for the most part self-governed. The infrastructure of power is still there in essence, but there isn't the strength of authority to implement it. There are a few cars or lorries. The rail network grows weeds and rust.
What about communications? Media?
The telephones still work in places. The newspapers have gone. The cost and practicality of manufacturing and selling them rendered them extinct. Radio is now solely used as a method of communication. There's no news or public broadcasting. The ether is basically owned by air transport.
Planes are still flying then?
Not for the purposes of private travel, but yes, the transport of goods, such as they are, still takes place. A fact that will become important later on.
How so?
One thing at a time. There. You'll be fine.
That's a bit sore, but I can manage. Thank you.
I trained in first aid, but I rarely have a chance to use it. Working in the archive, the worst that can happen is you end up with a headache from eye strain or a paper cut from old books.
Sounds thrilling.
It is, in its own way. Though I'll admit I sometimes hanker after experiencing excitement rather than just reading about it.
I noticed.
Yes. Let's get moving then. Still lots to see.
People are staring at us.
They're probably envious of your shoes.
They were rather expensive.
When the war broke out, the clothing trade shrank. Mass production of boots was commandeered for military purposes and never really returned to commercial use.
The old skills die out as we turn to mass production, and when the infrastructure of that production is lost.
Simple conveniences, things we never really thought about, suddenly become rare. Photography, for example, has virtually ceased to exist because no film is being produced. Bicycles have become a luxury as a viable means of practical transport, but pneumatic tyres are no longer in production. Countless tiny details.
Add them all up and you have the apocalypse.
Oh, not that. Never that. Life goes on. That house over there.
What about it?
It has a door we can use.
Can't you just magic one up?
Not while people are watching. Besides, it's tiring and wasteful.
Oh! You startled me then. I'm not expecting visitors. Can I help you?
We've had a report of a fire in your backyard.
Rubbish. I don't even have one. A yard, that is.
I knew it would be a false alarm. Didn't I tell you it would be a false alarm?
I seem to remember you mentioning it, yes.
Sorry to be a pain, but could we check anyway? You know what it's like. We'll be for it unless we tell them we took a proper look.
Of course, come through. I tell you to wipe your feet, but this place is such a tip that I don't suppose it really... Oh, they've gone.
The White House?
Yes.
Where the President of the US lives?
Yes, you must know him, surely.
I know the current incumbent in my time, yes. Though I've never strolled across his front lawn. Where's all the security?
This is 1958. We're still in the time of new feudalism. Besides, President Caruso is a lot more laid back than his predecessors.
Caruso?
Benito Caruso. There he is.
Oh, hey there.
The man chopping firewood.
That's him.
Can I help you folks?
Mr. President, this is Philip Raven of the British Embassy.
Oh, good to meet you.
Good to meet you too, sir.
Oh, hell, let's not bother with the sir stuff. Makes my teeth itch. What do you say I just call you Phil and you call me Benny?
That would be fine.
Good. I mean, let's be brutal here. I'm president by default, so there's no real reason to get hung up on the honorifics.
By default.
To be honest with you, I'm not sure I'm even president at all. My term's expired, after all, and if Wilkins had taken over, that would be that, and I'd be in Florida getting a little sun. But then the damn fool ran away, so, well, here we all are. Say, you two mind stepping inside for a drink? I've been swinging this axe all morning, and right now, all I really want is a glass of Mora's lemonade.
That would be lovely.
Oh, it would. Yeah, walk this way, folks.
About time we have visitors. If nothing else, it gets him in from the animals.
The animals?
I've taken to rearing a few pigs, cows, and chickens. We have all this land, it seems a pity to let it go to waste.
Benny can't bear kicking his heels around the house.
It's not as if there's much to do. Things are getting back on track. All I do is grease the wheels from time to time.
You think America is finding its feet?
Oh, steamboat traffic's moving on the Mississippi again. We're finally getting the cotton out of the South, despite all the unrest. Our exports are up, too. We shipped 140 automobiles to South America this year. Double the totals for last year.
Of course, it would help if we could get all the states to Congress. We're only seeing a third of the country represented in the Assembly.
Well, they'll get there. Some of the states can't afford to send anyone.
And some just don't care.
Some people take a little time to realize what's best for them. The country took a pounding. There's no shame in admitting as much. Just look at Mackenzie and Gregson fighting over the governorship of New York State while New York City itself lies empty, falling to pieces. Sensible people fight over the important things, getting this country and her people back on their feet. Idiots like them fight over power, as if that means anything anymore.
And meanwhile, you collect eggs from the henhouse.
And damn fine eggs they are, too.
I'm afraid Benny and I don't always quite see eye to eye on these things.
You love those eggs as much as I do.
You know what I mean, Benito Caruso.
You're not quite as positive about the future as your husband.
I'd like to be. I really would. But I look around and I wonder. It seems to me that we may be in the unenviable position of having seen the rise, the triumph, and then the collapse of the greatest civilization the world has ever seen. That's a lot for one lifetime.
You think America has collapsed?
Oh, I wasn't just talking about our country. I mean the whole history of mechanical mass production.
Whereas I believe it's still hardly begun. We had our setbacks, sure, but just you watch. We'll soon be back on our feet.
Will do! Philip Raven of the British Embassy.
Got you a drink with the president, didn't I? I could hardly say you were from the United Nations. As you may have noticed, the nations in this timeline are anything but united. I thought you carried it off rather well.
I talked absolute nonsense. A load of non-committal guff about building bridges across the ocean and forging long-lasting friendships between our two nations.
Precisely. Just the sort of non-committal guff an ambassador would say, in other words.
True.
Did you like him?
I did, rather.
Better than the president you're used to?
No comment.
See? The perfect ambassador. Monte Carlo. Ever been?
Bit rich for my tastes.
Not anymore. It's all but deserted. Though there's someone I was hoping to meet.
Will he try and kill us, or will he offer us lemonade?
From what I know, having read his journals, he seems a distinctly affable sort.
You've read his journal?
I'm from the future. I've read all the journals. Even yours. Ah, this'll be him.
I say, bonjour.
Bike owner, eh? Must have a few quid.
For all the good it does him.
Ah, bonjour, mes amis.
Hello.
Oh, you're English.
He is, yes. I'm from somewhere slightly further afield.
Oh, yes.
A citizen of the world, you might say.
And what a world. Lovely to bump into a couple of friendly faces, though. I've barely met a soul in days. Titus Cobbett's the name.
Philip Raven.
Jane.
Pleased to meet you. I say, fancy a spot of lunch? Come through. The place has seen better days, but the kitchen's still viable, and I've stocked up on a few provisions.
The Hotel de Paris.
I know. Best place in town, eh? I was passing by last night looking for a place to bed down, and I thought, well, why not? It's abandoned, of course, just like everywhere else. Not much of a summer season these days. Quiet winters all the year round, eh? Kitchen's through here.
I hadn't realised I was so hungry.
Travel sharpens the appetite.
It would have been so much better if there was still a chef in residence, but at least there's still gas left for the range, eh? I got used to cold rations on the road.
Where are you heading?
No one in particular. I'm just travelling. I used to know this stretch of the coast really well, did a lot of business here. I was an antiques dealer back when such things had value.
When people still had money to burn.
Well, quite. These days, burning's about all it's good for. It's breathtaking, seeing how quickly everything's gone to rack and ruin. I've been all along the coast, all the old chateaux, all locked up and abandoned, places looted, beautiful gardens turned into a wild tangle of roses and oleander.
It's sad.
Is it? I don't know. I suppose it is in a way, but it's progress. Nature doesn't care. Civilizations rise and fall. Who's to say what will come after we've gone, eh?
Who indeed?
I was in the casino this morning. The ceiling of the American bar's fallen in, but you could still get to the garden. I sat there for a while, thinking of the stories you used to hear about gamblers who'd lost their fortunes, popping out into the bushes to put a gun to their head.
Lovely.
I suppose it was rather morbid, but I was thinking about how it all seemed so important to them. They'd blown their fortunes on the spin of a wheel, unable to face the disgrace they'd taken their lives. Look around you now. The whole world lost the bet. Puts a bad flutter in perspective, doesn't it?
It does.
And we must be thankful that the world hasn't had the same lack of backbone as those disgraced gamblers long gone. No bullet to the head here, no. Just life going on and on, taking new forms, setting new priorities.
You seem very positive about the future.
Oh, I'm an eternal optimist, certainly. But things are changing already. I've seen it on my travels. At Nice and Marseille, the shipping is moving again. And not just fishing boats, I'm talking about trade ships. I saw them building what could easily have been a 3,000-tonner.
Oh, that's one hell of a ship.
It was. Or will be, rather.
We thought shipbuilding had ceased with the war.
Everyone did. But our need to expand persists. The railway, too.
You've seen trains running.
Not for passengers. Those lines are still dead. I saw a group of townsfolk using the grassed-over tracks for a bowling green the other day. But in Marseille, they have a line running between the port and several quarries inland. Industry, you see, it's indomitable. But mark my words, the future is up there.
The sky.
Do you know how many aeroplanes I saw between Rome and Marseille?
Do tell.
13. I doubt I'd have seen that many even before the war. I got chatting to a fellow at an aerodrome in Frejus. He was an aviator, Spanish-American, served first with the Poles and then the Germans and then the French.
Loyal chap.
Yes, well, he got around a bit for sure. He was an opportunist in war, and it stood him in excellent stead in the years since. He told me of the burgeoning trade in air freight, rubber, spices, mercury and block tin, all coming in from the east, clocks, watches, compasses, needles, buttons and hardened glass going back in return. For the most part, the trade is in barter, but the profits were immense.
Well, people will always pay to get the things they want.
And these are the chaps best placed to get it. Most of them are aviators who survived the war only to find a new use for their skills. They've even formed a union.
Consolidating their power.
Absolutely. I told this chap about the shipbuilding I'd seen in Marseille, and you know what he said? Oh, we'll have to watch that.
They don't want competition.
Precisely, because that's the truth of tomorrow. Whoever controls the air and the sea controls the world. They are the people who will keep trade moving, keep the world fed, keep it in clothes, fuel, essential materials. The trade routes are the lifeblood of society. We've never given organised transport and trading its due importance. We just expected it to be there. Now they know what they're worth, and they'll be quick to ensure that power is recognised.
You think there could be trouble?
Trouble? Oh no. That would suggest we had a choice. I think we'll just be forced to accept. If we want civilization to move again, if we want our supplies, our food, our clothes, our prosperity, then we'll just do as we're told.
A dictatorship?
Wasn't it always? Really? If you wanted possessions, you had to pay what you were asked for them. You obeyed the rules of a commercial society. The difference in the future will be that commercialism always used to be removed from politics, at least to a degree. In the future, it will be the only government that counts. So who wants dessert? I picked some fresh fruit this morning, more than enough to share. I won't even charge you for it. Lovely to meet you. Best of luck, and watch the skies.
Nice man.
A perspicacious one.
He's right then, in his predictions of the future.
Yes.
He seems positive about it.
Yes, though part of him still clings to the past. He'll need to shake that off.
What do you mean?
I'll show you.
Yeah, what are you doing in my shed?
Sorry, we thought it was a bathing hut.
Bathing hut? Are you having a laugh? Nobody swims in the Thames for fun, unless they enjoy drowning. Now, come on, clear off out of it. Go on.
We're going. Sorry. You know these much-envied shoes of mine? I think they may be ruined.
You can clean them up when we get to dry land.
What's that man doing down here?
He's a mudlark, sifting through the banks of the river for anything valuable. He won't find much.
So, this is what London looks like now. I don't think much of it.
You're about to meet a familiar face who'll agree with you.
Hello. I recognise you two.
Titus?
Still me. Excuse the beard. Lost my razor somewhere over the channel. You two haven't changed a bit.
We keep a firm grip on our razors.
I asked for that. So what brings you to London?
Philip wanted to see how it had changed.
Great minds think alike. I grew up here, and wherever I wander, it's always home.
What do you make of it?
I think it's awful. I travelled in through Kent, and the outer suburbs are still little more than decay and rubble. Huge swathes of land just ignored. Have you seen Hyde Park?
The last I heard, they were grazing cattle on it.
Oh, not anymore. They kicked the cultivators off and have built an aerodrome.
The power in the skies again.
Absolutely. But city planning's not consistent. On the one hand, they're building facilities for air traffic. On the other, defences against them. Just look at those lamentable concrete carapaces.
Like giant mushrooms.
Exactly. Giant, dull mushrooms. London used to be beautiful. Not anymore. No sense of the aesthetic and even less sense of planning. I get the impression the city simply has no idea what it's doing. Subsidence cracks have already developed in most of the new structures.
The north bank along the Thames is so ill-drained, the subsoil so soft, it can't bear the weight.
They should have planned for that.
Yes, they should.
Oh Lord! Get back!
We're quite safe on this side!
What you said? It's the North Bank just giving way!
Strand, Fleet Street, Cornhill, and everything in front of it.
And now the dust is clearing, you can get more of a sense of the damage. Not that you want to, I just can't quite take it in.
More of the past falling away, that's all. The future will always be built on ruins.
That's easy for you to say. They're not your ruins. You never walked those streets. You didn't know them as anything but lines in a history book. Right across from us now is a pile of rubble that used to be a restaurant. I went on a first date there with a girl who would end up being my wife.
I didn't know you were married.
I'm not. Not anymore. We ordered lobster because I was trying to impress. The table looked like a battlefield by the time we'd finished. There weren't enough napkins to clean up the mess we'd made together. Something of an omen now, I've come to think of it. Then there's that pile of old grey stone just over from what remains of St. Paul's.
I see it. A council building of some sort?
It's St. Bartholomew's Hospital, where my dad spent the last few weeks of his life.
Oh.
Riddled with cancer, delusional from the drugs. Do you know the last thing he said to me before he died?
No.
Are you sure we can afford this, son? Over to the left, maybe still standing, hard to tell from here, is whatever remains of the Nightingale Hospital.
He went there too?
Oh, it's a psychiatric hospital. My mother spent a lot of time there, railing at the staff, hurling racist abuse at the nurses, kissing goodbye to the last fragile pieces of her sanity.
I'm sorry.
Are you? Because we're all just statistics, really, aren't we? Footnotes in history, ink on a page.
You can seem that way sometimes, yes.
Where's Titus?
He went to see if he could help.
Oh, good for him. Oh, what now?
Westminster Bridge just fell.
I don't think I can take much more of this. The world is ruined, I get it. But why show me? I can't change it. I can't stop it from happening.
Of course not. As you say, the dominant timeline, your timeline, has already diverged. None of this happens now.
So why show it to me?
Because we've calculated the best possible chance you have of getting your timeline back on track.
Back on track? You mean like this?
Precisely. We don't want you to avoid this timeline, Philip. Quite the opposite. We need you to make it happen. want you to avoid this timeline, Philip. Quite the opposite. We need you to make it happen.
Copy that, Control.
On arrival, proceed directly to security.
Yes, yes. You'd think I hadn't already been union cleared.
You must be mad if you think I'd want any part in making this happen. All that death and destruction, the whole world crumbling to ruins.
That's what worlds do. All of them, given time.
Well, not with my help, they don't. I'm in the business of protecting peace, avoiding bloodshed, not encouraging it.
Precisely. You need to take the long view. You'll see.
Don't hold your breath.
In many ways, that's exactly what I'm doing. This is the timeline I'm from.
How does that work if this timeline didn't happen?
I told you, it's a divergence. No longer the predominant timeline, no longer the prime history, but it still, in a sense, happened.
So your future exists?
For now. But that's the problem with divergent timelines. They're inherently unstable. The further away from the dividing point you go, the more the timeline degrades. Our scientists estimate that unless we get history back on track, there will come a point in my near future when we will simply cease to exist.
Well, how near in your future?
It could be as little as 500 years.
500 years? But that's ages. It's long after your lifetime. At least I assume it is. How long do humans live for in the future?
A little longer than you, certainly, but yes, I'll be dead before the decay takes effect. Why does that matter?
You made it sound urgent.
It is. Unlike some generations, we don't view future extinction lightly. We don't consider this our descendants' problem. We view it as something we need to solve now. Besides, the predictions are vague. We don't really know how long we've got, nor do we know how the extinction will come about. Will we simply wink out of existence, or will it be a slow decay? A rot of accepted physics, of matter. For all we know, we may not have the technology for an intervention like this in the years to come.
Fine, I get it. Act now while you can. With all due respect to you and your existence, however, I remain far from convinced that this timeline is superior. I mean, do you know for a fact that you won't exist? A version of you at least, if history continues the way it currently stands.
Predictions suggest that your future is far worse than this.
Predictions?
It's hard for us to travel along the history of another timeline. This is our world, our history. We can navigate it with ease, for as long as it exists. The effort of intruding into yours was extremely difficult. We've been working on this intervention for 5 years, and this is only the second time we've managed to make contact.
The second? What happened last time?
We think we caused your Second World War.
Well, thank you for that.
Manipulating timelines, it's very difficult. Anyway, you should be grateful. Our previous intervention took root. You might not have existed without it. We made the timeline you're currently experiencing.
But it still doesn't lead to yours.
No, which is why I'm talking to you.
But why me? What makes me so special?
I could lie and fob you off with stories about your intelligence, common sense, and the work you've done with the UN.
But you're not going to.
Believe it or not, I have a little more respect for you than that. You were chosen based on logistics. You will be at precisely the right place at precisely the right time.
To do what?
Not yet. I will tell you, but I have more to show you first.
Fine. So where have you brought us to now?
1965, Flight 21966, inbound to Basra.
Iraq?
It's to be the location of the first of 2 very significant conferences. The road to the future becomes very clear today.
If you say so. And what are we carrying?
Catering supplies.
Well, a packing case isn't exactly what I'm used to in business class, but I suppose it'll do. So what's this conference about?
It's organised by the Transport Union. It takes many of the thoughts and ideas that have developed in recent years with a view to putting them into general practice. Essentially, this is the point at which thought becomes action.
Well, in my experience, while conferences often start out with that aim, they rarely follow through.
This one does. Mainly because of the universality of its attendance. As well as all major European contingents, it's attended by parties from America, China, Japan, Russia, and New Zealand.
Well, how long are we planning on attending? I can't imagine it'll be a quick affair.
I hadn't thought about that. I was behaving like an historian. This is such a significant event in the birth of the modern state that I wanted to see all of it. But that's hardly practical. I'm not here for sightseeing.
Off again?
Yes. Let's cut to the summing up. Security is unusually strict here, so we'll need to be careful. State police forces are still all but non-existent, but the Union employs private security to protect themselves.
They expect trouble then?
Perhaps on a small scale. Odd insurgent or business rival. In the grand scheme of things, they're unashamedly confident. Through here.
Thank you to my colleague for his wise words.
They're all so young.
The average age is 33. The world's new masters have youth on their side.
Our various speakers have painted a bold vision for the future. 20 years ago, indeed perhaps as little as 10, our proposals would have seemed impossible. Yet I trust we all agree that nothing proposed is currently beyond our capability. Indeed, it is important that we strike now in order to set the foundation of all that is to come. All existing aerodromes, ports, lights and lighting fields must now be considered the property of the Union. There is to be no question of purchase. The infrastructure of transport is ours and we will exercise the right to that ownership. Every aeroplane in the world must be registered immediately and allocated a regulatory number. Our tariff of charges will be imposed worldwide. Any airship or plane that refuses to pay will be treated as a pirate vehicle and refuse the use of aerodromes and filling stations. Indeed, they will be driven out of the air by the force of our air police. Any aerodrome, any administrative region or government, in fact, found to harbor such recalcitrants will be boycotted. Let us see how long anyone wishes to harbor pirates once they find they are no longer able to receive or ship imported goods.
He's got the world powers over a barrel, just as Titus predicted.
I'm aware that there are some amongst us who have expressed concerns about the legality of this. The question we have heard a number of times is, what will the government say to this? And the answer is simple. They will say nothing that will be heard.
This is an insidious attempt to restore capitalist trust in the world.
Would someone like to pass our esteemed colleague, Mr. Peshkov, a microphone?
There is no way that Moscow will consent to the passage of controlled machines over the vast territories under Soviet control, nor will she allow the exploitation of Russian resources by any outside organization.
And how will they prevent it?
You will find out for yourself once you return.
Then I may have to wait for my answer. I am a citizen of the world and I shall go back to Russia in my own time and in my own fashion.
This is treason! Wait until Moscow hears of it.
How and when will they hear of it?
Very soon after my return.
But you flew here to Varish Peshkov, in my squadron. Tell me, how do you propose to return?
No.
That phantom proletariat of yours fades with all the other empires and kingdoms. We are only giving shape to a new world order that is already born.
Wonderful. To see it actually happen. But we should go before we're spotted.
Not here again.
Oh, I wasn't concentrating, sorry. You have to understand, I've been an historian, an archivist all my life. Actually seeing some of this is somewhat distracting.
Well, for you and me both. Actually, I think this is a different plane.
What the hell are you two doing here?
What is it?
Stowaways.
Actually, we're here by mistake.
Of course you are. I imagine you took a wrong turn somewhere over Istanbul.
Look, I need you up here. We've got trouble.
You two, Stay close, but not too close. Understand? I've no wish to use this, but I will if you try anything.
We won't.
Quickly! Coming! Two of them, hiding away back there.
Well, right now they're in the same boat as we are. So keep quiet and let us do our job.
But what's the problem?
Air police.
This is Air Police Patrol Delta 4. You are in violation of transport control legislation and must land immediately. Over.
This is the private cargo plane Sandy Lane. We do not recognize your authority and demand you back off.
Your plane is not registered, your cargo is unknown, and your flight plan unapproved. You are therefore in direct violation of transport control legislation. I say again, land immediately. Over.
And what are you going to do about it if we don't? Let's stop them.
They're shooting at us. They're actually shooting at us.
We've noticed. Hold on.
That was a warning shot. Do not force us to fire again. Bring your plane into land.
Yeah, like hell I will. Do as they say! We can't! Have you any idea the financial penalty for piracy?
It's only money! Surely your life is worth more!
It's money we don't have. They'll take everything. The plane, our livelihoods, everything.
There's gotta be a way of losing them.
They've got a starboard engine. It's gone. It's nothing but smoke and shrapnel.
I can't hold her. We're going down.
Philip, quickly!
If we could just level off.
It's no good. She's not responding. Oh, we're dropping like a stone. But what about them?
It's too late! They can't go where we can! Get through the door!
But they'll die!
And so will we unless you move now! Go! Go!
Whoa! Hey, what are you doing in my car?
Trying not to die!
What are you talking about? Speak sense.
But there's precious little around.
Come on.
Hey, come back here.
I didn't have time to plan a route. I just wanted to get us out of there as quickly as possible.
So we have no idea where we are?
Not really. Somewhere Mediterranean. Greece, maybe?
Let us serve. Let us not fall into factions. Let us not divide and group ourselves. We cannot afford bickering. We must not thwart and waste each other. We have done no more as yet than make a start. Remember the strangulation of Russia by Stalin. Remember the fight against the spirit of oppression. The struggle for the modern state has only begun.
Shut up.
This is 1973. That was Arden Essendon, a guiding light within the transport control. Soon to be the leader of the modern state it becomes.
What's the reason for all this hold-up? There are people in uniforms in the distance. Police? Are they checking for someone who's escaped from somewhere?
They're from the transport control. First they took the air, then the sea. Now they're taking the roads. Nobody can drive on them without paying the tariffs and registering their vehicles.
The roads, too?
They take the entire transport structure. That's the point. They're building new roads, too. Huge, multi-lane stretches for trade routes. Not only that, but they've started to set up training schools. A new breed of education. Teaching people the importance of a global state. A new world order of secularism. It has its roots in socialism. The teachings of Marx and the work of Gustav de Vindt.
It's terrifying.
It's the future. It's what saves us all. Some amongst the Transport Union want to take a gentle line, to do deals with extant governments, to bribe others if legitimate deals don't work. It's Essendon and those who follow him who insist on a hard line. That the only way for this to work is to embrace it without compromise. I'll show you.
The world state is not a thing of the future. It is here and now. It has always been here and now. Since ever man talked, however timidly, of the brotherhood of mankind. Essendon.
Yes.
In the past, the world state had been torn among a countless myriad of proprietors and creditors, and the socialists and cosmopolitans, the true heirs of the race, were hunted like criminals and persecuted and killed. Now, through the utter failure of those robbers to maintain social order, the world has fallen into our hands. Power has deserted them, and we here have power. If we do not use it, if we do not use it to the fullest, we are traitors in our turn. Are we to tolerate even a temporary revival of the old system? In the name of reason, why? If their brains have got into the wrong grooves, well, we can make fresh brains. Are we to connive with and indulge this riprap that waits outside our doors? Go and look at them! Look at their insincere faces, look at their furtive hands. Weigh what they say, weigh the offers they make you. No, there will be no deals. We have swallowed the world, now we must digest it.
Let's cut to the chase, shall we?
Quite a gathering.
Essendon is about to draw a line in the sand. His announcement of total control.
The Council of World Affairs declares that between 1950 and 1965, this planet became derelict through the incapacity of its ostensible rulers to keep the peace. Chaos ensued, and it became urgently necessary to build up a new world administration amidst the ruins. This, the Air and Sea Control did. This administration has now been organized through a Central Council for World Affairs. It is the only sovereignty on this planet. All other sovereignty and all property rights ceased to exist during the period of disorder. They cannot and will not be revived. Throughout the world, the Council has its air, sea, and land routes. Its airports, dockyards, factories, mines, plantations, laboratories, colleges and schools. These are administered by its officials and protected by its police. And the latter are instructed to defend these organizations whenever and wherever it may be necessary. In every center of population, there are now modern state offices conducting the educational work of the Council. The time has come for all quasi-independent organs of business and administration to place themselves under the direct control of the new government of the whole world. Without delay, with a due regard for your comfort, your welfare, and your wishes, the Bureau will set itself to bring your life into sound and permanent correlation with the one human commonweal.
Surely it's a declaration of war.
No, that was neither war nor revolution. That was the recognition of worldwide government. It's a clear sign how broken the world was. Essendon makes his announcement, and to begin with, people just accept it. There's no immediate armed insurrection, no fighting. All of the tools of nationalism, the newspapers, the diplomats, the foreign offices, they're all gone. Who's to organise an armed response? There are just the people, and most of them are relieved to think someone with authority is looking out for them.
They just want to be led.
Isn't that always what people want? Oh, they complain about their leaders, they make a show of dissent every once in a while, but when it comes down to it, they just want to get on with their lives. They don't want the responsibility of keeping the lights on, the water flowing through the pipes, the food turning up at the shops and markets. They want everything to simply be there.
It's a rather cynical way of looking at it.
You think I'm wrong?
Not entirely.
There is, eventually, an organised attempt to refute the world state's control. It's the Italians who are first to rebel. A fascist garrison in Rome declares themselves the official government. They have a number of unlicensed aviators and planes, and their black shirts take control of an aeroplane factory and aerodrome in Turin. They even find the old king of Italy. He's been having a relaxing time farming in Piedmont. They renovate his long-closed palace and put him in it.
And the world state's response?
I'll show you.
Aren't we a bit conspicuous?
It's a public ceremony. We'll be fine.
And what's all the chanting?
You'll see when we get there. Pope Alban III is blessing 3 new aeroplanes from the Turin factory.
Blessing them?
The Catholic Church has always been given to blessing implements, shops, boats, bridges, guns, battleships. It advertises the church, gratifies the faithful, and does no perceptible harm to the object being blessed.
There's that cynicism again.
It's a piece of PR, pomp and ceremony to show that Italy is its own master. As well as the Pope, the kings here, plus every cardinal they could lay their hands on. It's quite a party, as you can see.
Good God.
They certainly think so. That's the Pope on the throne, with a couple of thousand black shirts to back him up, in case his deity isn't up to the task.
You're not a fan of religion, are you?
It's anathema to me. The world state thinks so too, as you'll soon see. This is close enough. We don't want to get caught up in the panic. Here they come.
Who? Oh, planes.
A squadron led by Luigi Rosselli, the local commander. The leader of the black shirts over there is actually his half-brother.
What are they going to do?
They're loaded with a new gas.
They're going to gas the Pope?
Pacificin. It renders the victim insensible for about 36 hours with no long-lasting detrimental effect. Time for the gas mask again. Keep yours on this time.
This is unbelievable.
It's another famous moment in our history, thanks in part to the fact that we have full documentation from the following inquiry, including a recorded statement from one of the pilots.
Well, I suppose the gas is harmless, at least.
Yes, there is that.
Please state your name and rank for the record.
Mark Rogers, Lieutenant on secondment to the Turin A Squadron.
Please tell me what happened once you arrived at the aerodrome.
Commander Rosselli gave the order to drop the gas canisters. Just for a moment, the chanting rose louder. They showed pluck, those priests. Hardly one of them broke ranks. Then they crumpled up in their places, drifting down on their knees. It was queer the way you saw the gas spreading among them like a bed of flowers dying, the death spreading out from all of these different centres. The old boy on the throne didn't turn a hair. He had his hands together and his head bowed. You couldn't tell when it took him. The fascist guards and the King's party weren't anything like so dignified. They gesticulated, they yelled. Some ran about a bit before the stuff got them. Of course, you must understand, the whole lot thought they were being killed. None of them could have known anything about this new stuff. We didn't know until a fortnight ago. We had no gas masks on our bird, so I didn't take part in the landing party that seized the planes.
Mind your feet! Clear the bodies away from the planes!
Last I saw of that aerodrome, it looked like some old Turkish carpet gone threadbare in places. A perfect garden of sleep.
It'll be safe now.
Awful.
Not the modern state's finest hour, perhaps. But the casualties were minimal. The only fatality from a crowd of thousands was Odette Buonarroti, a young priest who had the misfortune of having one of the gas canisters hit him on the head. He died instantly.
Oh, lucky him.
I suspect he would have been pleased had he known how the church responded. He was canonized, the last saint and martyr to be inscribed in the Latin hagiography.
Oh, yes, well, that would have made it quite all right, I'm sure.
To be a saint? If he'd known that was in the offing, he'd probably have prayed for it.
What is your problem with religion?
It's archaic and unhelpful.
Not to those with faith, it's not.
On an individual level, perhaps, but organised religion is unquestionably one of the most damaging, reductive and destructive factors in human history. I don't care what an individual believes, as long as that belief remains personal and its doctrines aren't forced on others. But how often does that happen? Countless faiths, all with their own opinion on who is acceptable and who isn't. Enemies decided purely on a matter of what God they do or don't believe in.
But a person has a right to their faith.
As long as nobody else is expected to share it. How many people have been executed over the centuries for not conforming to someone else's religious beliefs? How many countries invaded, wars fought?
Religion can be a force for good too. You're being selective.
I'm speaking as an historian, someone who can see the numbers from a remove. You don't need a god to be kind, to teach you moral behavior. If you can't be a decent human being without God providing the rulebook, then you're simply not decent. A god is irrelevant to how you choose to live and treat others. The only time it isn't is when you become the persecutor.
It's still a basic human right.
No, it isn't. Not anymore, because we finally saw sense and eradicated religion, all religion, from the planet.
But that's terrible.
Are you religious?
No, but that's hardly the point. I'm arguing from the point of human rights.
So am I. I just believe that a human's right to live outside of persecution and fear trumps the right to believe in a deity. You know how many people in my time fear religious persecution? Bigotry? Terror attacks? Abuse? None. Because the illogical cause for them has been removed. We're a secular society based on simple humanist principles. We are one, a single worldwide state.
A dictatorship.
That's a loaded word.
But an accurate one.
Think bigger, Philip. This argument is beneath you. You're arguing from a point of individual rights, and I understand that. I do. I respect it. But think of the whole. A society, a global society that has removed all the handicaps to unity. No more nationalism, no more religion, just one society in full agreement, living in the world they deserve.
And if someone doesn't conform? Fine, you remove religion, so now one faith cannot disagree with another, but you've replaced it with the world state. I mean, what happens when someone disagrees with that? You don't have to answer. I've just seen it with my own eyes. They get gassed.
It's the death throes of the old civilization, that's all. If you could speak with perfect hindsight, if you knew that all of this would actually make for a good, perfect society, would you feel the same hostility towards it? You're arguing about general principles, but I'm talking from a point of view of fact. I'm from that future. I live there. I thrive there, along with everyone else. To see what I have now, the world in which I'm lucky to live, all of this was worth it. All of it. Your argument is irrelevant because I've seen how it works out.
But you haven't, have you? Because the timeline's been altered. Your future's no longer set in stone, so the argument is real and happening right now. And it'll take more than you've shown me, and certainly more than the speeches of Arden Essendon, to convince me that any of this is right.
Yes. My future, my perfect future, isn't guaranteed. Not anymore. Which is why I'm fighting so hard to save it. I'll show you. That's all I can do. But it has little to do with Essendon. His days are already numbered.
Really? Well, show me.
It's hardly important. I need to show you the future. My future. Maybe that's all I should have done. I thought you needed to see how we got there. Perhaps that was a mistake.
Now show me the downfall of Essendon first. You've shown me all this. I may as well get the end of his part in the history.
Fine. But after that, I'll show you my home.
Agreed. Really? You're making me travel into cupboards now?
Shh. We need somewhere we can be unobserved. Besides, it's not a cupboard. It's a very nice cabinet with decorative panelling we can see through.
Huh. And what are we going to see?
We've moved ahead to the year 2006. Essendon, through no real drive of his own, has become the public face of control. It's early days still for a marked change in the public consciousness. The modern state isn't about the individual. All of its pronouncements, all of its declarations come unsigned by any single individual. It is simply the word of control, and yet...
It's become all about Essendon.
Precisely. The public like him. They consider every statement control makes to be his word and his alone.
And this has made him enemies?
Not really. There's little doubting that his magnetism and popularity played a great part in the success of establishing the world state. Still, peaceful control is still fragile. There are factions that have built their strength over time and are ready to strike. This is a precarious moment. One false slip, and it could all come crashing down.
So what's happened?
Essendon became involved with a woman.
Ah.
An aviator by the name of Elizabeth Hawthey. An adventuress by all accounts.
I like her already.
History is not known for dwelling on matters of the heart, but by all the accounts I've read, including letters sent between them, there can be little doubt they loved each other greatly.
So what was the problem?
His wife didn't approve.
Oh.
In a fit of jealousy, she accused her husband of being a traitor. It was undoubtedly a false accusation, but it was leapt on by one of Essendon's few enemies on the council, Hooper Hamilton. Talking of which...
The council has had time to deliberate the evidence placed before it.
Evidence?
All the evidence you need. He's a traitor, a monarchist, an individualist.
Ladies, kindly restrain yourself from comment. You have had your chance to speak. Now it's my turn, and I wish to do so without interruption.
Please, do continue.
It is clear that some of the evidence placed before us may have been provided with an element of motive on the part of Mrs. Essendon.
Are you calling me a liar?
I won't remind you again. Please, be silent. As I say, there are emotional considerations that call some of the evidence into question. But it is a small matter that Mr. Essendon should or should not be a party to the conspiracy of which he is accused. His real offence is that he should have allowed this situation to develop, that he should have permitted his attention to wander from the services of the Republic to personal gratifications. At the very least, he has been guilty of egotism. He has sacrificed himself and the world that has wrapped about him to a very personal drama. The question of his specific guilt is an altogether minor matter. The question before us is not what has Essendon done, but rather, what are we going to do about Essendon? There is a need for repression coming. Civil war and bloodshed may well be upon us. This is no time for a saga of lovers. Essendon cannot lead us. But how can we do without him? You see the problem.
It was never my intention to become a figurehead for the modern state.
Nor ours to allow it to happen, but happen it has. You represent the movement. Your actions here today now threaten it.
Yes, I see that I am in the way. If I might make a suggestion?
Please do.
If I might be granted access to a dose of Corda 36.
Anthony, no.
I will then retire to the garden, sit in the spring sunshine and remove myself as the inconvenience I've so clearly become.
Retire? Alone? I don't believe it. You want to be with her, don't you? Even now, you would spend your last few moments with that...
Mrs. Essendon, please!
No, Jean. There is no need for you to be hurt anymore. It's all over. I'll go now. I never meant to hurt Arden in this way. You couldn't help yourself, Jean. But I never meant to hurt you. Or him.
I couldn't help myself. Me? Who do you think you are?
Please remove Mrs. Essendon from the room.
Oh, get off me! How dare you! He's a traitor! Look at him! Traitor!
Goodbye, Jean.
Essendon, Arden, your suggestion is approved. This meeting is at an end. We can only hope the same cannot be said for the world state.
The drug they're giving him?
A suicide pill. Quite painless.
Just because of an affair?
Of course not. He's removing himself from the council, from everything, so he can't be used as a weapon against the world state.
It's appalling.
Yes. Yes, it is. You'll think I'm stupid, I'm sure, but Essendon, he's a hero to me. All my life I've read about him, the work he did, the effort, and now his fall. I didn't want to come here.
To see your idol with his feet of clay.
But now we're here. I have to see it all. I'm sorry, but I have to.
It's beautiful. Do you think there's such a thing as a good place to die?
What do you mean?
Something people say, isn't it? This was a good place to die.
People say that?
Well, probably not in real life, no. But they do in movies. It always made me think, though. Would it really matter? Does geography make the remotest difference? I mean, obviously I wouldn't want to die in the middle of a war zone or a burning building, but assuming the location itself isn't the thing that's killing you, and would it matter?
Essendon clearly thinks so.
Does he?
He wants to be surrounded by beauty. He wants the last things he sees to be pleasing.
I could stare at a rose for hours, but I don't think it would take my mind off dying. The greatest sunset in the world wouldn't distract me from the final slow beating of my heart. Personally, I think he just wanted to be alone.
And yet, here you are.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for you to, I didn't know you were...
Doesn't matter. Come over. Sit down. I'll shuffle up.
It's wrong of us to intrude.
As you are clearly aware, I haven't got time for polite refusal. Sit down. You clearly know me, but I don't know you. I think it only polite you introduce yourselves.
I'm Jane, and this is Philip. We're visitors.
Visitors?
We're here from...
Tell him the truth.
That's hardly a good idea.
It's the least you can do.
Is the truth so difficult?
She's from your future. I'm from an alternative world to this. She's showing me her history.
Well, the truth is difficult.
It's true. It doesn't matter why, but it's true.
All right, then. I'll believe you.
Really?
I haven't got time for skepticism. If nothing else, this should be an interesting final conversation. So, what does the future care about the death of a stupid man in a garden? As tourism goes, it seems somewhat morbid.
You're not a stupid man.
My wife wouldn't altogether agree with you there, nor the rest of the council, for that matter.
It's inconsequential.
My death?
Their opinion.
It works.
Philip.
It's what he should hear. The things you've done. They're the foundation for her entire world.
I think you're trying to be kind.
No, he's right. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm finding this entire situation is strange to me. I'm an historian. You should just be a name on a file, a figure in a textbook. I never expected to actually...
Talk to me? Obviously, this is entirely absurd, but I shall try and forget that for now. Though suggestions of my importance in the future world would fan the flames of those who accuse me of egotism, certainly.
There's a difference between egotism and self-awareness. Growing up, I always had my head in a book. I was obsessed with history, of following the patterns, seeing how we became who we are. You were a big part of that. A hero. You didn't just build our society, you built me. My fascination with you, with all of this, is what led me to the career I now have.
A pale-skinned woman who seems uncomfortable in the open air?
Well, I don't get out much, no.
I was joking. Sorry. I didn't mean to criticize.
It's a fair enough point. My father made it often enough when I was growing up. He's all about the outdoors, a farmer. Never happier than when he's breaking earth, always looking ahead, next year's crop and the years after that. He never really understood why I wanted to give my life to history, looking back rather than forward.
And does he now?
Not really, but he puts up with it.
Can I ask you a question?
I can hardly refuse.
Jane is, she's showing me her history because she considers it important. There's the possibility of it not coming to pass, and she wants me to help her change that.
This gets more absurd by the minute.
I know, sorry, but I just wanted to hear from you why this is important. To me, everything you've done could seem, well, like the establishment of a dictatorship.
Yes. Yes, it could. I suppose it is, in a way. But a dictatorship requires a dictator, and that's the difference, isn't it? At least I would hope so. I've staked my life on the fact, quite literally, as it happens. What we've tried to build here, what I hope will continue to take root and flourish, like the flowers in this quite spectacular garden,
is something more universal than a dictatorship. Yes, it took a degree of force to implement, but it's not something that was built on ego or arrogance. It was built to benefit everyone, the entire world. Some people needed convincing of that. They needed to be shaken from the old ways and into something new. A world as one, a society that had no place for petty fiefdoms or selfishness, a single, cohesive state that looks after itself. A dictatorship. If it is that, then we're all the dictator, every single one of us. I think it was worth it. I hope history will prove us all right on that.
It does.
There comes a point when we have to grow up, to stop killing each other, throwing away lives on pointless empty squabbles. I'm sorry. It's getting hard to talk. To just work together for once.
Getting hard to talk? You've already taken the drug.
Of course. It takes a while to work, and I didn't want to get cold feet. It would have been so easy to think only of myself. To run. To hell with the council. Why should I die for you all? Yes, that would have been easy. But this was never meant to be easy. Important things never are they? Can you tell me something?
Of course.
Elizabeth. Does history mention her? Is she all right?
She never truly gets over today. She feels responsible for your death.
Silly woman. If anyone should take the blame, it's me. I couldn't help loving her.
But she works to fulfill your promise. She fights to keep the world state together. Your legacy is everything to her.
I might have wished that she'd gone off and been happy. This life was never quite enough for her. But good for her. Yes. Good for her.
I've got you.
Sorry. I think... Yes. I think the drug's all but done now. I can't actually feel my... This really is the most beautiful garden, isn't it? I bet your father would approve.
He would. He does. We visited when I was a child. It's a monument now.
It's absurd. But yes, beautiful. Beautiful garden. Beautiful world.
Help me with him.
There's nothing we can do. He's gone. Dead.
I know, but I don't want them to find him spread-eagled on the floor. He deserves more respect than that. Let's lay him out on the bench. Well, that'll have to do. We should go.
Yes, we should. To see the world he helped to make.
What you said about his lover, about Elizabeth.
I lied. She kills herself in an hour's time.
It's, rather plain.
We prefer simple. Functionalism, clean lines, soft colours. It's just aesthetics. These things change. Imagine walking around a Gothic city of your own past.
True.
I thought we could call in on someone very dear to me.
Your father?
No. We don't talk much. I was going to take you to meet my wife.
Jane! And you've brought our guest, I see.
Hello.
This is Anna. She's head of the Historical Archive.
Buried in the past, the most old-fashioned citizen in the world. Well, until you turned up, I suppose. Come through to the terrace. It's far too nice to stay indoors.
As if you ever mind being cooped up inside. That's where they keep all the records.
True. We're both guilty of wallowing in the past, aren't we? Still, we need to blow the dust away occasionally. Take a seat. So, Mr. Raven, what do you make of it all?
It's, impressive, certainly. A lot to take in.
Philip remains unconvinced of the virtues of the modern state.
I should hope so. Skepticism is healthy. None of this would have been possible if we hadn't questioned what we saw around us. Questions bring change. Change leads to improvement. What can I tell you about our brave new world?
I don't know, really. How does it work? What's your lifestyle?
It's all based on common sense, really. A society that listens to and makes the most of its members is a happy and successful one. Our education system is quick to recognise the skills and interests of our pupils, and their education and eventual career is tailored to that. If you have an aptitude for engineering, you're guided towards becoming an engineer.
If you love history,
you end up here at the archive. A lot of historical unrest and unhappiness came from resentment. People looked at their life and decided it wasn't the one they wanted. They hated their jobs, they didn't have enough food, they didn't enjoy the places they lived. When you address those issues on a global scale, they're easily removed. There's more than enough of everything to go round, after all. Poverty is only a symptom of a destabilised, imbalanced economy. Even in your time, the notion of famine, for example, is frankly absurd. You have more than enough food to feed the world, you simply have a society that doesn't allow for the easy distribution of that food.
But that's easier said than done, though, isn't it?
Not really. Not if you think globally, that's the key. If you take the world as a single unit, utilising its resources equally and fairly, there simply isn't a problem. It's only politics and fractured government rule that stops it working. I suppose it comes down to greed, a somewhat alien concept to us. How can you be greedy when you have everything you want?
So nobody steals anything anymore?
Oh, there are occasional cases. Anomalies, really, when you consider the maths. Last year, for example, there were 715 cases of theft reported worldwide. In all those cases, it was the theft of an unusual object, a piece of art, say, or a pet, something that seemed individual.
And murder?
Again, it happens. We're not perfect. We're the product of only 100 years of social development. Not every negative impulse or act can be eradicated in such a time. It's rare, though, and usually the result of psychological illness, a field in which our social psychologists are making leaps and bounds.
Philip knows how debilitating mental illness can be.
Yes, I do. Only 100 years of development.
Precisely. Nothing at all in the global scheme of things. Imagine what we might achieve in twice that, 5 times that.
It's an amazing thought.
It's a future mankind deserves. Thousands of years of conflict and inequality, then 100 years fix it all.
It seems impossible.
And yet here we are. There's one obvious question you haven't asked.
What's that?
Perhaps it says something about your culture that it didn't occur to you. Or perhaps it just says something about you. You haven't asked whether we're happy.
And are you?
I suggest you go out there and ask. It's really the only thing that will convince you. Take as much time as you possibly can. Days, weeks even, however long we can keep you fixed here. That's the advantage of time travel. We can always get you to your meeting on time.
But the situation is urgent.
Oh, Jane, nothing's ever that urgent. You're mistaking your natural determination to have this intervention be a success with a ticking clock. We can make it work. We have to. Philip must be convinced. That's all that really matters. If it takes a few hours or a few weeks, the time is irrelevant.
I suppose so.
See, Philip? I told you the future wasn't perfect. Some of us still haven't learned how to relax. Now, get out there and explore. Talk to people. Understand them. Understand us.
Thank you. I think I'll do just that. Oh no. I'm back here.
We gave you as long as we could, longer than I ever thought we could manage.
I didn't want to leave.
You understand then? Finally.
I do, yes. Of course I do. It was everything you said it was. I'm sorry I doubted you.
And do you think it was worth the price we paid for it?
Right now I do. Right now I think it would be worth almost any price.
Think like a historian. I know it's difficult because this is your world, these are your people, but remember the future. Remember what you could achieve for the entire human race. Weighed against that, whatever you do now is worth it. isn't it?
Yes. Yes, it is. Are you all right?
I told you, being in this timeline is hard. I can't stay.
But you still haven't told me what I'm supposed to do.
I've so little time. I need to jump ahead. I'll see you soon.
Jane?
Soon.
Sir? Sir? Mr. Raven?
Yes?
I'm your driver, sir. Sorry if you've been waiting. Traffic's even worse than
Oh, don't worry, I just came through.
If I could take your bag?
It's fine. I can manage. Lead the way.
Sorry, sir. It's just crazy out here today. Crazy most days, if I'm honest. Don't know what the world's coming to.
That's the point, isn't it?
Sorry, sir?
Oh, just thinking out loud. Nobody should have to live like this.
We still don't have confirmed figures on the number of victims in the shooting. Certainly, 8 people have been killed, with many more reported to be in a serious condition. The gunman has claimed allegiance to...
It can't go on. They were right. It just can't.
If you could place your case on the conveyor belt, sir, and raise your arms.
Of course.
That's great, sir. Thank you. Have a nice day.
I begin to wonder if that's even possible anymore.
Hello, Philip.
Jane, I was starting to think you wouldn't make it back.
You and me both. I have a matter of seconds. I could have picked a nicer place for a chat. I thought we should have privacy.
So what do you need me to do?
You won't like it, but please remember, it's the only way.
Oh, she can magic up gas masks and now a briefcase, too.
It's what's inside it that's important, and this was the only way of getting it through your security.
What is inside it?
Something our science division have constructed. Something that will do what needs to be done. Do you really want to know more than that?
No, I suppose I don't.
When you go into the summit chamber, you'll be surrounded by many of the leaders of the Western world. They need to go. We need to break this timeline, remember? Something needs to happen that's so significant that it changes everything. Only then will people be desperate enough, angry enough to finally pull together and change the world.
Significant?
It's the only way. I'm sorry. We've run all the predictions, tracked all the variables. This will work. We're not asking you to just take a leap of faith. If you do this, we know that the future will end up the way it should. Isn't that worth it? It's no good. I have to go. Please. Please do it for us. For all of us.
Sorry. I think maybe the catch slipped. I didn't lock it on purpose. Sorry. I'd better get ready.
Your cases?
Oh, yes. My cases.
Oh, typical Englishman, huh? You never can pack light.
Yes, quite. Must happen that's so significant that it changes everything. I can't. I just can't.
Ah, there you are. I thought I'd bump into you at breakfast.
Yes, Sorry, I was a bit distracted.
You look it. Hugging that suitcase like a damn teddy bear. What's wrong with you? We need you on your A game here, you know?
Yes, absolutely. An important day.
Damn right. We need to slap a few of these people back into line. Have you heard the Russians are threatening to hike the oil prices again?
Yes.
You know, the sooner someone gets rid of Putin, the better. We might get a better price on the next one. I might have to suggest someone at 6 looks into it as a possibility. Perhaps it should be mentioned next time we have a chat with Syria. What's the point in espionage if it doesn't improve your odds, eh?
Awful.
Let's just hope the Yanks don't beat us to it like usual. If they concentrated on their own problems for once, the rest of us might have a chance at playing the game.
The game? What's it all for?
Sorry?
We're supposed to be better than this. Aren't we? Aren't we?
Keep your damn voice down. Everyone's looking at us.
Well, they'd do better to look at themselves. We should be working for the people, for the future, to shape the things to come.
We are, obviously. As long as it's the right future, of course.
Of course.
Look, what's the problem with that case? Give it to me.
No, you can't have it. I need it.
What for?
I have to decide. Oh, God. I have to decide.
Look, I think you'd better get out. We don't need this, not today.
Don't we? Well, a friend of mine thinks we do. And I think she's right. May the future forgive me.